Team 3, Victoria's Secret. Our team members are Aldo Lopez, Declan Green, Tanya Birdie, Amy Reed, Michael Field and Thomas Farley. What does a crisis demand from leaders? Objectives: conceptualize leadership and crisis, discuss the importance of leadership in times of crisis, identify leadership styles, analyze leadership style theories by applying them to relevant scenarios of a crisis, analyze leadership styles by using the 5-factor model, assess the situational effectiveness of each leadership style in resolving a crisis. Nordhaus describes the traditional view of leadership as a process towards goal attainment that occurs in a social context. Bennis and Nanus describe leadership in a more unconventional way, stating it is like an abominable snowman where footprints are everywhere, yet it is nowhere to be seen. Fink describes a crisis as a critical and delicate period which is usually associated with detrimental circumstances. Fink describes the characteristics of a crisis as demand for urgency amongst managers, demand for change, for example, strategic change or change of personnel. Augment in the importance of internal impersonal relationships. Individuals may gain self-orientated mindsets and behaviours. The role of a leader is extremely important during times of crisis. Their actions can make a monumental difference in resolving the problem. Clan suggests that leaders are very important during a crisis as they are relied upon to provide guidance. He then proceeds to give 3 additional reasons to why leaders are important during a crisis. Firstly, they can use their leadership style to bring something new to the table. Secondly, they are in a position to motivate and empower their employees and colleagues. Thirdly, they are thought as the person within the organisation that should identify and solve problems.
What is transformational leadership? Transformational leadership is a style of leadership that aims to create a connection between leaders and followers to encourage an increase in motivation and morality. This allows both the leader and the followers to work together towards shared goals or visions. This type of leadership will be useful during a crisis situation as it allows leaders and followers to work together to best approach crisis and resolve it. Transformational leadership can be demonstrated using a scenario from an earthquake that struck China on May 12, 2008 as an example. At the time of the crisis, many leaders, including the hospital director, Mr. Hu, led a team of associates to help get people to safety. Although this scenario does not concern the rebuilding of the country, it does concern leaders who use transformational leadership to motivate and encourage their followers to help those in need. Mr. Hu, along with the other leaders, demonstrated characteristics implemented by transformational leaders. They demonstrated self-sacrificial behaviour by putting the needs of others before their own. This behaviour influenced followers to join their leader to work towards a shared goal to help those in need, as shown in an article by Zhang and his team. Followers looked to their leaders for direction, Resources and human capital were allocated appropriately by the leaders efficiently. Leaders were visionaries working with followers in hope of expectations of a bright future. These characteristics are some of the characteristics that are present within transformational leaders that have been theorized by famous authors and researchers. Transformational leadership can be considered a useful approach during a crisis for many reasons. The main reason is the cooperation between leaders and followers. Leaders have the ability to engage groups of followers to work towards a shared goal or vision to get through a crisis. Also, it allows the quick distribution of resources and human capital through task delegation to followers, and followers are kept motivated and encouraged to work to their full potential. Leaders that can properly adopt this style of leadership are able to maintain respect from followers. Leaders that are highly respected by their followers can motivate and encourage them to change visions and goals when required. This is particularly useful during a crisis situation, as followers' perceptions can be changed to work towards new visions and goals with their leaders that would get them through the crisis.
Pseudo-transformational leadership style. A definition. Pseudo-transformational leadership, as described by Barling, Christie and Turner, is a manifestation of a combination of transformational leadership behaviours, and is differentiated from both transformation and leadership and laissez-faire leadership, otherwise known as non-leadership style. Analysis of leadership styles in a time of crisis. Pseudo-transformational leadership. When analysing the idea of a pseudo-transformational leader in a time of crisis, we look at Bass and Steidelmeier and their view that a pseudo-transformational leader is abusive of the power that they have been given. As well as being abusive of the power gained, pseudo-leaders have tendency to dismiss others' inputs to ideas and take credit if they are successful. Whereas if the idea thought of by an individual pseudo-leader was not successful, research from Bass and Steidelmeier showed that the leader will blame other individuals for the failure of the idea rather than blame themselves for the failure. Ashforth, Frone and Tepper, authors of Leadership, argue that an individual who conforms to the traits of a pseudo-transformational leader is a likely candidate for someone who is abusive of power and supervision of others, as well as an individual who is poor at being self-critical of personal failures. An example of a pseudo-transformational leader can be seen with Adolf Hitler. Hitler was a transformational leader, however was understood to have displayed many traits of that of a pseudo-transformational leader. Examples of traits displayed by Hitler that conformed with pseudo-transformational leadership was passing on the blame of the Great Depression. In order to make the German people support him, Hitler blamed the Great Depression of 1929 down to others rather than the German public, creating hysteria. He was abusive of his power when he was in charge of Germany, and this was shown with the rise of the Nazi Party and the murdering of thousands. Hitler was not very open to experience. He was very set in his ways of leading and would stick to his own methods without considering others, which is seen as a trait of pseudo-transformational leadership.